For this section, I asked each of the staff, what is the one thing you tell new volunteers just starting out in the movement? And here is some of what they said. So, keep showing up. Movement organizations are stretched thin constantly. Our mission is to stop climate change and win liberation for all. And we have a handful of overworked staff to make it happen. We really try our best to create spaces where you'll be instantly brought into the community and there'll be a perfect role ready and waiting for you. But it doesn't always work like that. So please don't get discouraged and stick with it, and eventually you'll find your place. Or at least you'll have thoroughly realized that a different organization might be right for you. Try things out. At 350 PDX, at least, we encourage people to try out a few different campaign teams or different roles. Sometimes you don't know if you'd be good at something unless you try it. So next time there's a volunteer ask to testify at City Hall or to go to a civil disobedience training, give it a go. Pace yourself. So this movement is in it for the long haul. Climate change isn't going away anytime soon. And if you want to be in it for the long haul too, it helps to not start out sprinting. I've seen a lot of people get sort of awakened by a moment, and suddenly they feel like they have to give everything at once, but because this is urgent. And what can often happen is that those folks burn themselves out. They take on too much, and when their motivation inevitably slips, or just life catches up with them, they drop it all. Okay, it's okay to be sad or to just survive. The world is a pretty awful place right now. Stepping into the movement is also stepping into the existential feelings that may come up with it. So sometimes it's all we can do to just survive in this terrible system. And we don't have the capacity to go out and volunteer after work. And that's okay. We got to tend to our own mental health first. There's, you got to put on your own oxygen mask before you help those around you. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself, and you're probably not going to make a very good activist either. So taking action shouldn't be your only outlet for dealing with your emotions, because what happens when we take as much action as we can and we still lose the campaign? So take time to keep your cup filled, whether that's through community or gardening or dancing or therapy. Looking after yourself is as important as any other climate action you can take. Okay, don't be overly comparative. Everyone's on their own path. Just because your friend is out in the streets every single night doesn't mean that you have to be. We all have our own life situations, capacities, privileges for how much we can give at any one time. And we certainly shouldn't be comparing the different roles of social change as better or worse than each other. Okay, there's no one place for you. One person I know has been a lawyer, a tree sitter, a non-profit professional. They practice radical parenting, they farm the land, all at different stages of life or at just different times of the day. Like, you can be an advocate by day and a rebel by night. You can be in one role for a year and then move to a different one later. Fight imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is when you are in a position and you feel like, what gives me the right to be in this position? I'm an imposter. And I think people feel that in the climate movement. It's like, why am I helping decide the future of humanity? So people who have been in the movement for 10 years or more are still unsure whether what they're doing is the best, most effective thing. I'm still not sure. We're all just kind of making it up as we go along. So it's less about finding the perfect answer. It's more about finding an answer that's good enough for now and making peace with that. Simple is okay. You don't have to start a new organization or have brand new ideas or dive particularly deeply into organizing. Just showing up to protests and being a body in a crowd or clicking a petition, it might not feel like much, but it might not be the most fulfilling thing in the world either, but there's still so much value in doing that. It's really not all or nothing, and doing something simple, especially when life is tough, is still so meaningful. Okay, and the last one is you might not see the impacts. A friend's grandma had this story. that I heard. So she was an anti-nuclear campaigner in, I guess, the 80s. And she recalls the most miserable protest she'd ever been at. It was her and three other older ladies kind of huddled in the pouring rain on the steps of the Capitol building with their signs and pretty much no one else about. No audience, no TV cameras, no politicians. And after an hour, they got cold and called it a day and went home. And 2 decades later, she met a leader of of an anti-nuclear movement, and they do what activists often tend to do. They share stories about what got them into activism. And you know what the leader's story was? She was interning at the Capitol on the road to becoming a government employee. And when on her lunch break, she saw these four old ladies huddled in the rain protesting nuclear weapons. And just seeing the commitment of those women in that miserable situation, that moment she defined as her defining inspiration to become an activist. And she went on to do amazing things in the movement. So we may never know all the impacts of our activism. Sometimes we win campaigns, and when we do, we should celebrate those victories like hell. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes the pipeline gets built, emissions continue to rise. Don't put all your eggs into the basket of winning the campaign. The journey has got to be worth it, even without the campaign win. That's why the kind of what brings you joy section is such a crucial part of that Venn diagram. You've got to be having a joyous or at least a meaningful time in your climate action. So I found it fulfilling to redefine victory from something like stop the pipeline to something more like build a beautiful, powerful campaign and do our best.